All right, class. So good that you're joining here with us today. We've got a great opportunity and a great privilege to have Mr. Ryan Johnson, who is the founder of Three Sparrows Executive Services, and he's a former UCA alum to visit with us today. We're really going to touch on a broad myriad of aspects today around business. We're going to touch on servant leadership. We're going to touch on just entrepreneurial spirit and getting things started. We're going to touch on how things work in a sales performance standpoint of how you've got to be able to sell your idea and how you come up with an idea to sell to others as well. But then also how you can serve a customer. And I think that's really where Ryan really does an unbelievable job and has had a really great career leading up to this point of when he started Three Sparrows and then what he's doing now in today's world to really reach out to an unmet need that businesses have. And so we're going to talk with him today and we're going to get right into it. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, Wayne, this is a pleasure to join you and talk to your class today.
Hey, we're excited to have you. So we're just going to jump right in. So give us a little bit of a background of where you are, where you came from, and exactly what Three Sparrows does.
Yeah, so I live here in Conway, Arkansas, and as you said, UCA alum. I got my master's there, and I spent my undergrad at Lyon College in Batesville for a couple of years. I was a college baseball player up there and pursued my professional baseball playing dreams for a while. Didn't get drafted. I was on the same draft board though as JD Drew back in 1998.
Wow.
So
Number
at least I
7.
was on the same draft board.
Yes.
For some
Former
reason they took
Yankee.
JD Drew. I don't know why,
Hey,
but
poor decision.
so yeah, exactly. Business decision. But I was fortunate to play 5 years of independent professional baseball and learned a lot, played with a lot of great players, and that's really where my grit came from. Small college baseball, not a prospect to a prospect, and then having the chance to make that second step and had a chance, but it's in the Lord's hands of why I didn't. And so I stayed in higher education. I went right into coaching and thought that I was going to be a coach the rest of my life, and the Lord had other plans. And so I moved out of coaching and moved into recruitment just for students. I started recruiting students instead of players, and adult students of that to a online program in an adult student program at Central Baptist College here in Conway, and had some success there. And so I just moved up the ranks into management, director of recruitment, and associate VP to VP for enrollment management, and really enjoyed my time there and my journey to executive leadership. And I learned a lot and a lot more of what not to do and then what to do. But that's the learning journey that I was on, and I was so blessed to have that experience. And so now I want to help people, really prepare for what they can do, and then also help the small business owner too that I have a passion for now.
No question. I think that's great. So let's fast forward to where you are now. You start Three Sparrows. What is it about Three Sparrows that you feel like is meeting a need, and what is that need that you feel like it's meeting?
Yeah. So what I've found is, when I was in higher education, I worked with a lot of small businesses, a lot of different vendors and partners, and really got a feel for what they were doing and how they could plug the gap and help us when we needed things. And so that's really where my mind started going. I think I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but it just kind of got thrusted out when I was moving into executive leadership, because you start calculating moves and looking at the ROI and really justifying why you're trying to do things. And so when I got out, I'll just be real frank with you. I applied for 40 different jobs when I left and didn't get one interview. And so I'm thinking that it was because I was career higher ed. But people don't realize when you're in higher ed, you understand business principles just as much as the business owner does. It's just a little different context. And so I really just started hustling and found some contracts a year ago, and that propelled me into this journey to really try to create a sustainable solopreneur business for now. And so when I got out there and started having conversations, so that's the first tip is talk to people to find a problem that you can solve. Because I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I know I had several skill sets in marketing, sales, recruitment, executive leadership, but what do I do with all this stuff? And at 47 years old, 46 last year when I started, I thought this could be interesting, getting started this late. And we've took a big step of faith there, but it's starting to work out just because I'm listening and really finding out what people need.
Mm.
And so I found that there was a need in executive leadership with a small to medium size, mainly small business, anywhere from 5 employees up to 20. That's a small business range. And the CEO or the founder is the founder, CEO, COO, CMO, you name it, full C-suite. They're trying to do
All of
everything,
it.
right?
Yeah.
And that I know what it's like to work as an executive leader with very little resources and small budget. And so I've had to figure out creative ways to do things. So I thought I want to support that owner, that small business owner, and help them
Mhm.
bridge the gap of executive leadership. Let me get them out of the weeds of operational daily operations, help them go do what they can do to serve the business the best. Maybe it's business development, maybe it's just leading the vision and really strategic plan, doing strategic planning really well. But I wanted to give them an opportunity to do that, so I can come in and take the direct reports off of them, or just help them solve a problem, or train their people to be the best that they can be so they can take more off their plate. Because so many fail, so many small
Oh, no
businesses
question.
fail because it's just too much, and they grow fast because they have a great idea and they're talented, but then they forget that, oh yeah, I've got to run this thing now. So
Mhm.
I want to support those people.
So one of the things that we talk about in this class is we talk a lot about providing value. We
Mhm.
we talk about just what you talked about in terms of finding a problem and solving that problem in a unique way that customizes the solution to their need, which is something that you obviously do, because I know that you deal with each account or contract that you have individually. When you start to look at how you can provide value, you know, what would be some of the ways that you could say, you know what, this is how I provide value for this client, or this is how I provide value for this client? I know that definition of value is kind of broad, but in
Mhm.
your world that you do, what does a high value return look like?
Yeah. So number one, I really believe I found this in the small business world, and among entrepreneurs, is they always want to give way more value than what they charge for.
Got
And
it.
that's really counterintuitive. In businesses, you hear, I'm going to get as much as I can out of this client. I'm going to take on this client just because I need a contract, or they're not quite my target, but I'm going to do it because it's money. That's not value. That's not providing value. That's a one-sided approach to your business. And so for me, value looks up front. I lead with value. I lead with free content. I lead with free advice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. So for me, obviously I have a lot of things to say and things to offer. So I'm gonna give people the playbook. But here's the thing: those people need a quarterback. They need someone to come
Mm-hmm.
in and run that playbook. And so I'll give them the playbook, but I already know that they need help running it. And so if I can help them as much as I can to get them to a place where they're ready and see that I know what I'm talking about and that I'm passionate about helping, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do that. I'm going to lead that first. I'll have as many strategy sessions. Most people say, I'll give you one free, and I'll give you as many as you need to build trust.
Right.
If this is really moving down that way and you really want my help and need my help, then let's talk about it and hash it out before we even get started. Because I want repeat business. I want people that love working with me and want to refer me to other people. And so I'll do what it takes to get a client within reason. If I'm able to do it, then I'm going to do it. So leading with that kind of free value first really starts building that trust.
That's awesome. So you mentioned something, I think we know the answer, but you're living it on a day in, day out basis when you're going and you're developing a relationship with new clients. How important for the long-term success of that relationship is building that trust on the front end?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's everything, especially in what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to come in and be a partner of an owner of it's their baby. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that this was their idea. It's a great idea. It's going well. That's hard to bring on an executive partner like this, because this is a partnership. It's not just a vendor situation here. Like we get ingrained. I get into the financials. I know the nuts and bolts. I see what's going on, the good, bad, and the
Mm-hmm.
ugly. That takes a lot of trust and a lot of time. So yeah, it does take time, but you have to build that trust. And so that goes back to the free value. As many conversations as we need to have to hash this out. I just closed a client recently, and I'm going to come in and train their staff, their small staff of 4 people, and the owner's going to be involved with that too, because they want to really speak the same language and get on the same page. And we've had probably 10 conversations, and what does this look like, and what are you trying to accomplish? And just really trying to make sure, because at first he's like, oh, this sounds great, but as we dive into it, he's like, well, how is this really going to work? And so you just spend time really showing and asking again and refining, and that's key when you bring them into the conversation to say, hey, you tell me, this is what other people are saying, this is what I'm seeing, but you tell me, and we'll connect the dots accordingly.
That's awesome. Have you seen, and I know every client is different, but have you noticed that there's kind of a window of conversations you need to have in order to kind of get that foundational level of trust that you need in order to make them more or less buy into what you're trying to get them to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely not the one conversation. The one
Right.
conversation is just me listening completely, like hardly talking. I'm just asking questions. And so I would say, so to give you an example, I've got one in the pipeline. We've been talking for about 9 months now.
Wow.
Every other week I'm shooting him email. Hey, how's it going? You said, he shared his org chart with me after the second conversation. And so
Okay.
that tells me, okay, he's really trusting me here. He's sharing some high level financials with me, his plan of his scale plan. And so I'm just connecting with them. And then every once in a while I'm shooting them an idea to show them, hey, I'm thinking about you. Have you implemented this yet? They're a young company, but they're, growing by 2,400%. Like they're just,
Wow. That's great.
they're just killing it as an IT company and, or a SaaS company. And so, hey, just have you thought about this? What kind of a CRM are you using? Just different things that I would ask when I got in to work with them. And, he would shoot back, hey, that's a great thought. Yeah, we do have something, but I think maybe a better one in the future could work better. Just those types of things. So it's a running conversation. And I try to keep it, a lot of people say you got to get that next meeting, but I really try to be more relational than that. Maybe DM them on LinkedIn every once in a while, or shoot them an email. Hey, do you want to catch up? Nothing, no hard sell. It's just me trying to really stay relevant with them and show them that I'm here for the long haul and not just trying to go in and out. And then most people that have to wait that long aren't going to wait around, but
Right.
I know that I know that he knows if I'm willing to wait this long to get into the contract, then I'm just not going to bounce out of it quick. And so I think that's a big part of building that trust.
Planting those seeds along the way.
Yeah.
I think that's key. You mentioned touching base with them. When we talk about communication, it doesn't always have to be a face-to-face interaction.
Right.
Like you can be an email, it can be a text message, it could be a direct message on social media, it could be a lunch, a formal meeting. In some cases, it could even be a message through a common party. So like if you and I had lunch together, and you had somebody that I was trying to get in touch with, you could relay a message on. It's just all that word of mouth of hitting them from different directions. I think is key.
Absolutely.
That you can do that.
If
you looked at, I'm sorry.
No, it's just all about relationships.
And those things take time. There'll be some people that you feel, when you meet them for the first time, you feel like, hey man, I feel like I've known you forever. Or, me and her just clicked right off the front of the bat. We understood what each other was trying to say from a business standpoint, and we really wanted to get into it and grow the business. But that's more on the rare side than it is the norm. And I think the more that we can have interactions of some capacity, that helps grow that relationship. And that ultimately, when you grow the relationship, you grow the trust. Right. And I think that's where you see a lot of success come into play once that happens. Tell me a little bit about what a successful client for Three Sparrows looks like.
Yeah, that's great. So I've been niching down ever since I've started. I heard just today that if you try to sell to everybody, you're selling to nobody. Right. The riches are in the niches. And so some people subscribe to go really, really niche down, and some people, somewhat niche down. But so I've been refining. So I'm in a small more small business than medium. So employee size of anywhere from 5 to 20 approximately.
Okay.
They have to have a team that I can work with, at least one manager, or somebody, or at least an owner that works as if they're a manager. But ideally at least one manager, operations manager, and SaaS, B2B, is really kind of what my experience comes in.
Okay.
But I can do B2C too. But I think if you just really start to niche down into one, if you're good at it, people are going to say, well, he typically does B2B, but give him a call. He may do B2C. So SaaS, B2B, and anywhere from that 4 million to 6 million annual gross revenue is perfect for me. But if they're a million, I can do some other services for them. So for the sake of that niche, 1 million to 6 million, trying to get them to 10 million and beyond.
Right.
10 million is that first level of sustainability where they can decide, okay, I can bring on a full-time fractional COO for 150 to 200,000 plus benefits. I'm going to save them 50 to 60% in the process and help them really scale nicely to that level.
That's awesome. When you first started out, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start this business and I'm going to start to get clients. Tell me how you handled getting told no.
Yeah, I've been used to that, the recruiting world,
Right.
and a lot of, I've done it. Everything I've recruited for or sold for has been really high tickets. When you recruit players to a program, that's a lot. It's a big investment. So you get told no to a lot, but you really get more nothings, no responses more than no. And so I guess that's a no, but you just learn that you're not for everybody. You can't take it personal. And so I don't. At first I did, when I was younger, I thought, man, why don't these people like me? Well, it's got nothing to do with them liking me. It's got something to do with it, but it's because they need it or not. And so when you lead with that expectation to say, hey, I don't know if this is for you or not, but this is what I do. Are you interested? If not, no big deal. Just want to see if I can serve you. If you really approach it that way, that drops the guard right away. And then it gives them an out to say no or yes. And a lot of people are like, oh, don't give them a chance to say no. Well, no, I want to work with them if they really want to work with me. So in a very short amount of time, I'm going to give them my value statement. And if that resonates, great. If not, then it's in our both of our best interests to keep moving on and not worry about it. So there's plenty of people out there. You're going to find the right niche and serve them well. And then the word of mouth kicks in and you don't have to sell anymore. And they just come to you and say, hey, would you be willing to work with me? Well, let's find some synergy here. If there is, then yes. But and that's really what selling is to me is relationships and building that trust and connecting the dots. It's not hard press. You need to be diligent and follow up if they have interest, but if they don't, you don't hound them. You just clarify and move on.
I think that's great. So much wisdom in that right there. So you mentioned a key word in that description right there, and that keyword was serve. We talk a lot about servant leadership. What do you feel like is servant leadership, and how do you apply it to what you do every day?
Yeah, that's great. I really love this. I've been, ever since I started the journey to just into management and leadership, I knew I need to figure this out. So I've done a lot of research and a lot of watching people and that sort of thing. But if you serve first, if you look to put other people in front of you, put their interests before you, then they will automatically want to lead or want to follow you and allow you to lead. But if you come in with a title and with an agenda, there's not one person that I know that's going to be open to hearing what you have to say. And that doesn't fly it'll work, but you'll find people quietly quit pretty quickly because they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And they want to be involved with leaders that care about their career as much as their own. And that's creating win-win situations. And who doesn't want that,
No question.
So yeah, serve first, lead with that and be genuine with it. If you don't believe it, don't do it. But I think if you reverse engineer that, we all want that in our lives. So why wouldn't we do that? with
No
others.
doubt. I think that's so good. You're spot on that. All right, as we close this out, I've got one last question for you. We've got a class here that has a broad array of experiences, and backgrounds, very diverse across the board. What would be your, let's just say, 2 keys of wisdom that you would give them as they go out into the world, regardless of what their profession is, if it's business, if it's not business, but just 2 key pearls of wisdom that you would leave them with?
Okay, well, we'll start with work ethic. So be ready to hustle and grind. Nothing's easy. No one's going to give you anything. And then 2, serve first and lead with value. I think that'll take you a long ways. And, people will recognize if you have talent, and talent will get you so far. I always say this, and this is why I really lean into training of the people with the soft skills, is you get hired for your talent, but you'll get hired for your technical skills, but you'll get fired in a heartbeat for your lack of soft skills. And so if you're not willing to really be coachable and be led and serve first and put that value out there, then you're going to go through a lot of employers early on. So be ready to hustle and grind and lead with value first and serve first.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. If some of the students wanted to reach out to you individually, I'm sure that'd be okay. Do you have an email address or a contact method that you'd like for them to use?
Yeah, if they just want to go to 3sparrowses.com, the number 3sparrowses.com, and they can connect with me on LinkedIn there, my email. They can see what I'm doing. So that's probably the best way for people to get in touch with me. I would love to have those conversations. I love just helping people. So and I want people to get a good start. I have a son that's 18 and he's at UCA now for the first year, and he's in the College of Business. He just started his own business, and I just love helping him. And so I'd love to help more.
That's great. Ryan, thanks so much for visiting with us, taking time out of your schedule to give us those pearls of wisdom and just the insight as to how businesses run and how to be able to connect with people. We really appreciate it. We wish you much success going forward.
Thanks, Wayne. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much.